The Cybertronian civil war has ravaged the multiverse. Countless worlds across countless realities consumed by violence. But there is a new day dawning on Cybertron, and with it comes the Age of the Primes. Cybertron, well, it's been a long time. Just look at this mean chunk of change, would you? He is a real Mary Poppins of a figure. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all! What I mean by that is he's practically perfect in every way. It's just that in this instance, it's a spoonful of vengeance that makes the medicine go down. God, this has been a long time coming, has it not? Like, how old's that Dark Ages comic now? War Within, whatever the flip it was. I don't even remember, because it was so long ago. Lost to the sands of time. Much like Megatronus' betrayal. So, The Fallen was created by Devil Dew Comics all the way back in 2002-2003 by none other than Simon Furman and Pat Lee. See, him and the other Primes were created by Primus to be caretakers and to stave off the darkness that is Unicron. Each of them imbued with primal attributes. Megatronus was the god of entropy, but sometimes when you look too closely into the darkness looks back. He ended up being preyed upon by Unicron, tricked, destroyed everything, trapped, right? Next thing he knows, eons go by. A whole new race arises, the Civil War breaks out, a space bridge accident sees Optimus Prime and Megatron disappear. This accident also makes the gap between realities thinner than it's ever been, allowing for the Fallen to set foot on Cybertron for the first time in eons. He immediately sets about henching up with Bludgeon, Bugley, and Mindwipe, and they have a plan to build a beacon of sorts to summon Unicron, but they need 4 key ingredients: Grimlock, Jetfire, Blitzwing, and Hotspot. Needless to say, plan is foiled, Primus hits back, he flipped around and found out and is seemingly destroyed. And that was that. The Fallen has since shown up in several iterations, and honestly they kind of range from bad to okay. Needless to say, the original is the best. And all that of course is a roundabout way of saying, we got a new toy. I know there's been a bunch of third parties and there was the Titanium series one, but God, this is overdue, right? How much cooler is this conceptually for the Fallen than what we got in the movies? The movies was like an extra from an Egyptian-themed Tool music video. Now, ordinarily, I would do articulation and other things before I'd get into accessories, but to leave this guy unaccessorized seems like a disservice to us all. A stick for the spear. The Spear of Destiny. This is, other than his flame effects, the only accessory molded in this soft plastic. You get this awesome short sword. The sword can also clip onto the end for a mean looking Guan Yu style stave. And of course, his prime artifact, the Requiem Blaster. Part of transformation, but if you wanted to, you can extend it out. You can also take the barrel from his tank mode gun and plug it in for a much more Megatron aesthetic to your Megatronus. He's also got this adorable little missile pod. Pew! And then with all of that, you're ready to watch the world burn.
Earth will burn, the skies will fall, no savior left to fight. The final dawn extinction calls, the cosmos drowns in light. Crime cannot defy its fate, no sword will stand the test. The Fallen and the 13 rise to lay the past to rest. No king, no savior, only the fire remains.
And then everything can tuck away nice and neatly to take it with you for when, you've got bots to kill, but not right now. Right now you're doing sorcery stuff, but later you're going to wreck some bots. As well as looking the business and coming with a buttload of accessories.
Would you say I have a plethora?
I would say there's a plethora. He also happens to be a particularly bendy boy. His head is on a pretty decent ball joint. Butterfly out quite far. Also doubling down with a little finagling. Some pretty extreme shoulder action. Arms do 90, unimpeded rotation. Bicep swivel. A little bit past 90 out the elbows. Opening hands. Rotatable hands. And just a little bit of wiggle. Waist swivel. I will say make sure if you're bojangling those legs to get these out because they can catch and they do pop off like a frog in a sock. Thigh swivel. Good mount forward, better back, practically a 90. About a 90 knee swivel, front and back, very generous tilt. Basically what that amounts to is a dude who can throw all the intimidating, foreboding, menacing shapes you could ever want a flame-faced god of entropy to be throwing. You know what I mean? You see him throwing shapes, and you have no trouble believing that this dude gave Grimlock the old one too. Speaking of, here he is alongside the big show, the one and only Grimlock. Then the triple-changing powerhouse Blitzwing, Jetfire, the warrior scientist, and Hotspot. So I reckon it's about time that we do that thing that they do and get to transforming, shall we? Down, in, around, up, in, down, extend, out, up, twist, fold, twist, up, down, out, extend, twist, collapse, connect, twist, fold, twist, up, out, down, extend, connect, unfold, brace, connect, extend, plug, fold, collapse, twist, flip, tank. So this is pretty cool. This is how you do Cybertronian tank. It's not a guy squatting into a H. It was a surprisingly involved transformation to get him here, which was cool because tanks are often, you know, a little bit lazy, and he does most assuredly look the business. My one grievance with this tank mode is that whilst you can twist the turret, which is wonderful, and raise the turret, the only thing holding his cannon in place is the tabs at his shoulders. So often as you go to move him around, you end up just inadvertently putting bits out of place, and it's a bit of a pain to get them back in place. I guess you could conceptualize it like when the tank, you know, lifts, it's lifting from there, but then the joint on the Requiem Blaster isn't quite strong enough to support that movement, and even then it's still going to come down like slightly out of place. I just wish there'd been something on the forearms that helped hold the whole thing together. It just would have gone that one step further. If they'd done that, then this would have been pretty close to a flawless tank mode, if you're willing to forgive the fact that his wheels stick down well past his treads, which I am willing to forgive. Unsurprisingly, he can store all of his weapons, and that involves starting with the sword and spear, and then you get the little flames and attach them on the side, and then just, you know, plug that in down alongside his treads there. And you can still go ahead and take those big flame effects, plug them in on the turret, and, you know, then you've got a flaming tank of doom. One thing I also like about the tank mode is the number of 5mm ports that it gives you access to. So if you are willing and able, you can turn him from a regular tank into a super tank. By way of a tanky size comparison, here he is alongside minor Megatron. He's quite a bit bigger. It just goes to show how much the Fallen actually compacts down. You know what I mean? It's like when a really tall guy stands up from a chair and they kind of just keep going. And here he is alongside a bunch of literal cannon. And that, as they say, is that. So I think we all agree that this is a great figure, but for me, it's one of those like collection-defining figures. You know, as a collector, once you're locked in, you tend to get pretty close to everything you can get, right? But every so often, every once in a while, comes one of those figures that gets you excited about the fandom like you're fresh to it again. And for me, the Fallen MEGATRONUS is definitely one of those figures. I'm pretty confident that you all plan on getting him, but how excited are you to get him? Are you loving it as much as I am? Have you got him already? How good is he? I'll be honest, it's hard to imagine a scenario where he isn't number one on my top 10 for 2025. Early prediction, calling it. You saw it here first. He is the bomb diggity. Alright, be sure to hit me up in the comments below. Let's just have a big love-in about how great this figure is and how cool the Fallen is and how poorly executed he was in the movies compared to this. Can you imagine seeing this and deciding to reconceptualize him to be Mum-Ra the ever-hungry? Hit me up, sound off in the comments below, let's get into it. Let's get nerdy with it, as they say. Well, as I say. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, way to go, you little legend. And until the next one, catch.
The fallen returns, the 13 arise from the depths of the void, through the cosmic divide, with fury untamed and the matrix denied. All shall bow to the fallen's design.